Sorry, you had a great opening point. Hey, now we're live. Now we're live. What's going on? BJ Rains, Matt Bauscher with you. We just did half the show, and it was great. And then we realized I hadn't pressed the record and go live button. So we'll see if we can do it better the second time than the first time, Matt. Appreciate that. BJ Rains with you from Bronco Nation News. He's Matt Bauscher, former Boise State basketball player, also with Bauscher Real Estate. And we're not sure when we're going to make this show happen. As I just said, Matt, we were originally going to try for Wednesdays at noon, but one of us is usually busy. It's usually me, but we're going to find a time once a week when we can talk Boise State basketball, and it has arrived. And so looking forward to this. And ever since we started the show, Boise State basketball team has played 4 games and they've won 4 games. So maybe us starting the show was the key to their run.
They're not going to lose another game the rest of the year.
You know what? If that happens and it's because of this show, then we might start getting exclusive access of whatever. Hey, I hope folks will use Matt if you're looking to sell or buy a home. Bauscher Real Estate. There's the contact info there. BauscherRealEstate.com. He's the #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. Nobody in the Treasure Valley sold more homes in 2021 than Matt Bauscher, and hopefully you'll consider him when you're looking to buy or sell your home. And Matt, as always, we appreciate you for doing this and your support of Bronco Nation News. And we got a lot to talk about because they beat Prairie View. We don't really need to spend much time on that. That was a big win. But 2 nights ago against Santa Clara, that's a top 100 Ken Palm game. That's one of the better wins on their schedule. That was a game that they had to have. They were down at the half. It didn't look great, but ends up being one of the better wins of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Santa Clara, people don't get excited about them. I mean, the crowd didn't show up. I was extremely disappointed in the crowd. I'll go off on that in a different tirade. But, I mean, Santa Clara beat TCU by 20. They had blowouts with Nevada, Stanford. I mean, it's not a bad team. And they went on an 18-2 run against us. And most of the time, you're not going to recover from that. But, I mean, we ended strong. 12-2 run, last 5 minutes of the game to end it. Huge win. Now we're 7-4 with a 4-game winning streak instead of 6-5. And was really proud of the guys and their grit.
Yeah, Tyson Degenhardt, again, 18 points, 6 rebounds. You had Abu Kijab with 16.7 rebounds, Marcus Shaver, 12 points. But my player of the game was Mladen Armouche. I mean, 17 points, 12 rebounds. And, Matt, when he's a force like that, this team goes to a whole nother level. And I thought he had a matchup advantage for a good chunk of that game, and he took advantage of it. And there in the second half, there was multiple possessions in a row where he would just give me the ball, and he would back the guy down and score. And then he had some huge rebounds, too. I mean, just the energy and effort that guy plays with for going some of those boards, it seems like it's pretty contagious for the rest of the team.
People say you want it more, but you look at the points in the paint, we absolutely murdered Santa Clara. You look at the rebound battle, we killed them. The loose ball, we beat them. I mean, everything, we literally, out hustled them. And it showed because we got double digits more shot attempts than them. We didn't shoot lights out, but when you're shooting the ball 10 to 15 times more than your opponent, good things tend to happen.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights here. Shot on my iPhone, so these are very basic highlights here. But you had a big three-pointer there for Boise State to get going when Najee Smith hit that first three-pointer. The Broncos in the second half, Matt, really got going. They were 0 for 9 from 3 in the first half, but hit I think 5 of 8 in the second half.
Yeah, it was huge, and it gets contagious. One guy makes it, the other guy makes it. Next thing you know, nobody can miss, and the momentum starts to change, and they tighten up a little bit. And
they did hit it. It was going back and forth there for a while, and they hit a shot there, and then Boise State started to go on a run. Marcus Shaver almost fell down, got back up, and then Akop found Abu Kijab, this time in the other corner in front of Boise State's bench. Bang! He knocks down the 3 there. That put Boise State up. And then, it was a very interesting game because Boise State started to go on that late run like we talked about. Tyson Degenhardt really started to assert himself. A nice basket in the paint there. A spot in the game here that was interesting. There was a foul called right here, and there's the foul call.
That is a massive call. We have a lay-in. We have momentum. The crowd's going crazy, and he makes a hero call. Look at that. No foul. Taps it. Just because he falls down, is this soccer?
If there's a foul, it's on the other guy, right?
Yeah, there's no way that's a foul. He taps the ball. He just fell down.
Now, the whole crowd was going nuts, and I probably, not being a good friend, not being a good business partner, put your video on social media of you getting into it with the ref. But I will say this. You got a lot of people excited for you and a lot of people saying, hey, you – I'm sorry, man.
No, I'm saying right there, that's a 3-point call. Momentum changes. I'm not using anything profanity, but I'm getting the point across that Leon can't do on the other side of the arena. And he missed the call. And the video guy, I mean, this might sound small, but whoever's doing the video at Boise State, the second there's a bad call, can you put the replay up immediately to try to, get a response from the crowd? Do not hesitate. Immediately put it up.
Now, I would say it was about 98% of people loving it on social media, saying your energy, your passion, everybody loves it. There was one or two guys, because there's always one or two guys, right, on social media that had an issue with it. I can tell you that I could hear it, and you could hear it on the video. There was no profanity, no nothing. You were just being a fan saying that he missed the call. And I will say this, Boise State fans, the next 3 times down the floor, there were plays that could have been called on Boise State, and the same referee was right there and let the play go. So I think Matt Bauscher influenced that referee to not call anything the rest of the game on Boise State. I think you had a part in the outcome, sir.
Can you imagine if there was 6,000 people with my energy at that game, how loud it would have been?
Yep, it is crazy. We'll get to the fans here in a second, but let's get the last couple of highlights in here. Degenhardt again, a little runner.
Like a seasoned vet. I mean, you would never think he's a freshman. He literally plays like a senior. He's poised. He's never out of control.
Here he goes again. He spun baseline on this one. He scores again.
Gets him into the sweet spot in the middle of the key. Turns around.
17-4 run to end the game for Boise State. The crowd's loving it there. The first show we did this, Matt, we had no highlights. Then in the middle of the last show, I was able to add one highlight, and now we have a full-blown highlight package. So we're taking this show to new levels here with each episode. But overall, I thought it was a great win. It was a 17-4 run to end the game, and they were down at halftime. They were actually up 21-9, looking great in the first half, and then all of a sudden, Santa Clara made a big run and came back. But again, basketball is a game of runs. 18-2 for Santa Clara. And it was, the arena was quiet. Not much was going on. But in the second half, again, Boise State goes 5 for 8 from the 3-point line in the second half. Also for the game, Boise State 9 of 13 from the foul line. So maybe those numbers are starting to correct a little bit. And when they needed stops down the stretch, Matt, they got them. Boise State only gave up 2 points in the final 6 minutes and 28 seconds. We're talking the final 6:28 of the game, 2 points. And that's like the third or fourth time I think this season that's happened where at the end of the game, the other team just can't score.
Our defense is so fun to watch. The only basket they got, was a goaltend call with 20, 30 seconds. That was the only basket they scored on us the last 6 minutes of the game. Our defensive efficiency, we're number 30 in the country right now in defensive efficiency. Our Ken Palm's now at 59. I mean, we're ahead of Temple. I mean, we were ahead of Texas A&M, Wake Forest, Cincinnati, Syracuse, Marquette. I mean, we're ahead of some big schools. We're at 59, so we're under that 60 mark. And 2 wins against Montana Tech, smack them, no question. And then if we can beat Washington State up in Spokane, you're 9-4 going into conference.
It's a much different feeling right now than it was a couple weeks ago. I mean, you think about us doing our show right after they lost to St. Louis. When they gave that game away, and they were 12 of 26 from the foul line, and they're 3-4 on the season. I hate to single out one player. We talked about it last week, Matt, but it really does seem like Tyson Degenhardt moving into the starting lineup, Devonair Dutrieve no longer being on this team. Something has changed, and something's clicking now.
The chemistry's better, the morale's better, the energy's better. And there's no question. I mean, it's light years different the last couple of weeks.
How is that? You obviously being a former player and playing on different teams and stuff like that. It sounds like a simple thing, but I mean, why can one guy being removed from the equation and another guy being put into more playing time in the lineup? Why can that be such a big deal?
It's huge because you look at football and there's 11 positions, or baseball there's 9. You only have 5 positions and they're playing both ways. And you take a guy that's playing 30 minutes a game. I mean, that's a critical part of the game. And it's hard. It's easier said than done for a coach to make a huge move like that when you have, so much talent, athleticism, et cetera, But the other guys then see that it happened and, people start to buy in and go all in, and chemistry is a crazy thing. There's no more momentum in any sport than basketball, where you go on an 18-2 run, you're down, and then you go on a 13-2 run to win the game.
Hey, if you got a quick question or comment, we got a couple minutes left. We'll throw it up on the screen there. If you got a thought on the team, are you thinking Mountain West title? Are you thinking dancing in March, or is this kind of just a mirage here? These 4 games, where are you believing yet, Boise State fans? Let us know. We'll get your comments up on the screen. looks like someone in the Degenhart family here chiming in. Spokane is ready for Najee and Tyson's homecoming on the 22nd. And I know you've been a part of some of those games, Matt. Sometimes they don't go as well because guys are amped up to be back home. Sometimes they go great. But yeah, that is a nice side story. Najee Smith and Tyson Degenhart, both being from Spokane, will get a chance next week to go play a game back home.
That's special. The 509 up there, and Spokane's a nice town. It's a lot like Boise, and I think they're going to have a good turnout. With Pullman being so close to Spokane, we actually played against Washington State when I was in college in Spokane, believe it or not. And there was a really good, we were at Spokane Arena. There was a really good draw. It'll be a good atmosphere for those guys. And it's great that they were able to get a home game for them.
He's Matt Bauscher. I'm BJ Rains. This is the Matt Bauscher Show. We do it once a week on a random time and date. We just talk Boise State basketball for 15 minutes, and we're really enjoying this. And you look, they only played 7 guys in that game, Matt. And Najee Smith only played 13 minutes. So your 5 starters, Degenhart, 36 minutes, Kejab, 34, Armush, almost 30, Shaver Jr., 33, and Acott, almost 30. Is that sustainable? I know Pavle's hurt right now with his ankle, so you're hoping to get him back. Lucas Milner's out with a shoulder injury, and then you got 3 guys redshirting. But to play 7 guys and to play all 5 of your starters at least 29 minutes, what are your thoughts on the usage right now? But they don't really have many other options.
I think 8 guys is kind of the sweet spot, because then everybody still has a lot of rhythm and flow and confidence and all that. But I think they're going to need Pavle to get back in and Lucas to get back in and give some good minutes. We were fortunate, Santa Clara. We had 9 total fouls in the entire game. So 9 fouls is probably the least amount of fouls in the history of Boise State basketball in a full game. You get one guy in foul trouble, and now all of a sudden you're down to 6 or 5, and you lose one of the big guys. You got, Max or one of the smaller guys trying to play the 4. It's going to be problems, later on in the season. So I think we definitely want to get both those guys back to help with the rotation. And then, 2 games in 3 nights, we're going to need it.
Now, I know he's your neighbor, so you got to be careful with what you say here. But Max Rice, I know fans love him, and there's not a guy that people yell shoot more when he's got the ball in the stadium than him. But it's obviously been a tough go for him this season. But he came in, you saw early in the game, he took a charge. He had a couple really nice passes, so he's trying to influence the game other ways. But 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. And, he played 24 minutes, and I don't think it's a huge thing to say that when he's in the game, he's in there for his offense. He's in there to shoot and to hit threes. And this season, that's just been a struggle for him. The last game, he hit one. You thought it might get him going. It hasn't yet. I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but you're a shooter, and when it's just not clicking for you, and then you get a little gun shy, and now we're seeing him maybe pass up some looks. How hard is it to get back into that mental mindset of I'm a good 3-point shooter, and I'm going to make these shots?
It's such a long season. We're barely scratching the surface for him. I think, the good thing I like to see is that he's taking care of the ball. He's first on the team in assist to turnover. He's 2-1. So anytime he screws up and throws the ball away, he's going to get us 2 assists and take charges or rebounds. And he's been playing great defense, and I think that helps, because once he starts hitting shots, he's really going to be out there. Now he's getting more minutes with Pavle out because we don't have the bodies. But if he starts hitting shots and he's, taking care of the ball at a 2-1, 3-1 assist to turnover ratio and taking charges and doing the little things, he's going to keep playing. So it's not a matter of effort. It's not a matter of taking care of the ball. It's a matter of the ball going in the hoop.
I know we mentioned defense earlier, but I wanted to go back to that real quick. It's not the sexy thing. Nobody shows up and pays tickets to the game to watch defense. They want to see the dunks and the threes and all that. But usually the better defensive teams are the ones that are there at the end of the season. And you look at the trait that this team is now showing. You mentioned the numbers, and they're all there. But that's multiple times now where they've ended a game on an extended run where the other team has had trouble scoring. And that's been maybe the bugaboo, or what fans will criticize at times down the stretch, where in close games, the other team's making the plays and Boise State's not. And it seems like that's flipped a little bit because of Boise State's defense in some of these games. How important is that to know that even if you're having a tough shooting night or it's a close game and you got to get a couple stops, to know that you have a defense that can do that? And you look at some of the numbers, I think that percentage of 3-point shots that teams are taking, Boise State's like number 3 in the country. They're locking down the 3-point line. They're rebounding well, but just with the defense in general, how big is that for a team to know that even on an off night or in a close game or a grinded out game, if they need some stops at the end of the game, they know they can do it?
Championships are going to be won, in March from defense, and the Mountain West tournament's going to come down to the stops. And you look at us, we're so hard to score against because we're all so long. They switch every screen almost. So you got 6'8" point guard and you switch off, and the only small guy we kind of got is Shaver, who's quicker than a cat, and he's going to be all up in you. And then you got guys inside that are protecting. So extremely hard to score against, and you end up shooting contested shots over a 6'7", 6'8" guard. It's not an easy shot, and they're number 3 in the country against the 3 for a reason, and they're rebounding well.
Well, before we get out of here, I do want to bring up the fans, and I may be more critical than you. I don't know. I've always wondered since I've been here why they've been unable to get more of a crowd at some of these games. And we had the excuse of finals week. Some people were saying we had Christmas parties. People were saying for the Prairie View game, and I get it, they were 0-8, but we've both been in that arena when it's been full. We've been in there for top 5 teams when the third deck is full. I've been to Big 12 arenas, and you've played in a lot of arenas. There's not a lot, and I'm not just saying this. Extra Mile, Taco Bell, the Pavilion, whatever you want to call it, it can get as loud as any arena I've ever been in. I mean, that place, when it's full and it's rocking, and I think to the Nevada game with the Martin twins, I think to one of the Oregon games, I think to when San Diego State came in when they were number 5 in the country one time, and Boise State almost beat them before they hit a late shot. I mean, there's been some big time games where Boise State, frankly, had no business being in the game, and that crowd was a serious factor. And there's a reason that Leon Rice has won, 83% of the home games since he got here. It's a tough place to play, but I just wonder if you could consistently, not even the third deck, just consistently fill the second deck and just consistently fill the first deck. Just fill the bottom section. There's so many open seats, and I get it. There's a lot going on, and I'm kind of the guy that always gets accused of ripping on the fans, so maybe you'll jump on board with me. But why do you think that they're just struggling right now to get fans to show up?
The arena is so large. I mean, I played in so many games in arenas. We have one of the biggest arenas. So I think Dickey, Keller, Leon, if it's a game that there's not 10,000 or more seats out, you have to make the entire top deck black curtains like they do for the country concerts. I mean, you look at Gonzaga, they just built a stadium strategically. Their basketball arena holds 6,000 strategically. So, we have double that. And you're talking the number 1 team in the country. So the top row should have all black, and then first come, first serve in the second deck if it was me. And then the season ticket premium seating is the lower bowl. And then it has a whole different atmosphere, acoustics, visually, everything. And we always have a better crowd once Mountain West basketball starts. I mean,
they'll start picking up, and when they win, and when they start winning, fans do start to come, and they'll have a big push before the Colorado State game on January 10th or whatever. And if they're undefeated still or ranked, I mean, that'll probably be a nice crowd, and it's fun. I mean, like I said, I've been to Allen Fieldhouse 100 times at Kansas. I went to Kansas, and when Extra Mile Arena has the third deck rocking, that place is every bit as loud. The way it's built with the sections right on top of each other, it gets loud and it's awesome. And I just wish for, there's 16 home games. It's 16 days. You throw in the 6 football games, you're talking 22 days out of 365. And it just is always, and again, whenever I bring it up on social media, I'm you're ripping the fans. You get to sit for free courtside, and eat free food. Must be nice, all this kind of stuff. I hear it. That's fine. But if I was a fan of this town, and most of the time the tickets are $10 or $15 to go see this.
I mean, $5. The staff has done an incredible job trying to get the word out, and they're on billboards and TV and sending out emails and flyers and promotions and, donate canned food. You can get in, and there's a
how
lot
much of a difference does it make though for a player when that place is running out of the tunnel and you see the third deck not even with the lights on because it's empty seats in the middle and bottom deck compared to when you run out and you all of a sudden see that student section. And again, the students came back the first couple of games. There were a ton of students, and they've kind of fallen off the wayside the last couple of games too. So I put a little bit of this on the students.
I agree. There's no better feeling than a packed arena. I mean, you're jumping higher, running faster. Your energy's through the roof. The adrenaline is coming out. It's hard to even describe how much of an effect, but it changes games dramatically.
Well, let's see. I don't think we're going to, people are going to listen to us much for Montana Tech on a Sunday afternoon. We're probably not going to have much of a crowd for that. But Fresno State, I think on the 28th, I mean, you probably won't have a lot of students for that. But the Mountain West opener, and especially if they find a way to beat Washington State and they're on like a 6-game winning streak or whatever, I mean, you'd like to see at least have the third deck open, at least fill the bottom 2 and start to sprinkle them around the third deck. And I know there's like the legacy seats or whatever, some of the seats down by the court, they just literally don't get filled. I'm going to look into that some. And I do think Jeremiah Dickey's the right person to kind of work on some of this, however they have to do it. So there's our bitching for the week on the fans. But hopefully, as this team continues to win, more people will buy in. Because I tweeted something about, they deserve a big crowd against Santa Clara, and some guy wrote back, do they? And that's just kind of the mindset. People are just, come back to me when you've won 10 in a row, or come back to me when you've done something. And I don't know if it was the Bakersfield loss that turned people off or what, but this town, it just does seem like it's a what have you done for me lately type thing. And they have won 4 in a row. And I think for Leon's sake and the players' sake, hopefully the fans come out, because you know what? Even if they don't win every game, Matt, I think I looked it up last year. Of all the home games in 12 years under Leon, I think they've only lost by double digits like 6 times or something.
Yeah,
like they may lose, but you're going to see a close competitive game.
Even the football games. I mean, you look at the student section, it was crazy. At halftime, they had all left. And I mean, it's mind blowing to me. If these guys are getting free tickets, give their seats away to somebody else if they don't want to come.
And now they're selling alcohol, so you can't use that as an excuse. You can have a beer and watch the game.
The games aren't at 9 o'clock at night either. I mean, there's always excuses.
Well, hopefully that we just convinced everybody that was on the fence to buy a ticket and come, because you're going to see a good game. And this team does deserve it. The games are more fun when more people are there, for us, for the other fans, for the players. It's just a funner atmosphere. You see in the football games all the false starts they cause, when the crowd's there. It's the same thing for basketball. So hopefully, and I do agree with you, once football season gets over, it always seems like conference play, people start to realize, oh, it's basketball season now, and start to come out. And they've got some big time home games coming up in conference play against Nevada and Colorado State, San Diego State. So
like the Bobby Dye days where it was defensive buckle. I mean, this team will impress you. They're so athletic and tough defensively. I mean, those kind of fans will really appreciate it.
Well, Sunday, 4:00, Montana Tech, one of those kind of, I don't even want to say trap game, because you should still be able to walk in there and win, but you have to, the game's not played on paper. You have to go in there and win, and they're an NAI school. College of Idaho has already beat them twice by 1 point each time this year, but they're one of the better NAI teams in that league. But it is and you do have a huge game coming up on Wednesday, so I mean, it is, but you have to stay focused and take care of business. And if they do, then I think we're looking at a showdown Wednesday. I'm looking forward to heading up to Spokane on Wednesday. So we'll have to maybe do this Tuesday or figure out another time next week that goes around the travel. But that's going to be a big one at Washington State, and looking forward to that. Matt, appreciate your time as always. Thank you, buddy. And we'll be in touch next week. And again, hope folks will reach out, BauscherRealEstate.com. Take care of Matt and his great staff there if you're looking to buy or sell a home anywhere in the Treasure Valley. So that'll do it for this week's episode. Boise State 4-0 since we started the show. They'll look to make it 5-0 Sunday against Montana Tech. And we will talk to you guys later right here at